If you own a computer, here's how to get the most out of it without buying lots of expensive software. Get ready to write down a phone number and watch this.
In the chronicles of internet history, 1996 marked a pivotal moment. AOL, the reigning giant, and AT&T, the telecom titan, locked horns in a struggle for supremacy. This is the story of how two warring corporations birthed online addiction.
As hard as she tries, staying away is nearly impossible. This woman, who we'll call Jamie, is an addict. Her drug of choice? The internet.
Hey, the mailman's been here.
The first thing I do when I come home from wherever I am is get on the computer.
The future, now available on...
The temptation is tough to resist. Companies offer special introductory rates or monthly plans that encourage you to spend more hours online.
Do you easily lose track of time when you're online? Have you lost interest in other activities?
These questions are all part of a survey conducted by Dr. Kimberly Young at the University of Pittsburgh's Bradford, Pennsylvania campus. Its results took her by surprise.
When people started calling me really upset, crying and, I got divorced from my husband because of this. You don't understand what it does to people. My husband's in denial because of this. I don't know what to do. These all of a sudden were very serious problems, very real problems, and it did overwhelm me.
So the year is 1996, and the way most people access the internet is through web portals like Yahoo, AOL, and MSN. I say the word internet there lightly because these web portals were not really the internet. They were more of a walled-off section of the internet, almost entirely controlled by the web portal provider. Web portals of the time were somewhat a combination of a software company bundled with an ISP, because once you bought a disk that allowed you to install the software to access the web portal, you had to pay some hourly or monthly fee to use the web portal for a specified length of time during a specific period. One of the most popular at the time was AOL's service offering of 20 hours of free monthly usage and then an additional $3 charge for each additional hour of usage past the 20-hour free usage limit. AOL's offerings were so popular that it was indisputably the biggest web portal in the world. This posed a great threat to AT&T. The telephony giant had over 60 million home telephone customers, but by 1996, they barely had any footprint in the emerging world of the internet and ISPs. So in order to get a foothold in the internet service provider market and get customers who needed dial-up internet access, AT&T launched WorldNet, a service offering that, to put it lightly, fundamentally changed the course of history. AT&T was a colossal business known for moving tremendously slow and almost always opting to maintain the status quo over pursuing new and innovative ideas. Yet by 1996, with its WorldNet portal, it found itself in the unfamiliar disruptive world of internet companies, and even more surprising, would make one of the most disruptive decisions in all of internet history. While AT&T had a large customer base in the home telephone market, they virtually had no presence in the online service provider market. So when they launched, they needed a way to get customers. They certainly couldn't compete on content or features because web portals like AOL and Yahoo offered a vast array of good content and features that would take AT&T's WorldNet years to catch up to. But one thing they could compete on was price. AT&T announced a dramatic pricing model of its WorldNet portal. To attract dial-up internet users, they charged a flat fee of $19.95 for unlimited internet access to their web portal. By charging so low for internet access, AT&T was betting massively on the idea of reaching enough scale to justify their pricing model. A mixture of heavy users and regular users would hopefully balance the cost of the service and ensure profitability. But if only a few heavy internet users subscribed, well, AT&T would have successfully created a burning money pit. AT&T quickly reached 1 million WorldNet subscribers, grabbing a small but relatively sizable piece of the internet service provider market. This had a disruptive effect on the still young ISP industry. Many ISPs followed suit and released their own unlimited online access offerings. This disruption also included competing web portals. But AOL and MSN were the only services large enough to hold out. and hold out they did. They stubbornly continued to charge an hourly rate for the usage of their web portals. AOL initially tried to play both sides, offering a discounted version of its service that lived on top of AT&T's connection, but soon, it too would have to fold to the new normal. When AOL announced that it too was going to be charging a flat fee for unlimited access to its web portal for just $19.99 per month, overnight, millions of users found themselves being able to stay terminally online and not worry about racking up eye-watering bills. You might be wondering why it took until 1996 for service providers to offer unlimited online access packages. Well, the answer is perfectly exemplified in the troubles that AOL experienced in the months following the introduction of their unlimited online access tier.
It could be called the silence of the techno-nerds. The world's largest computer service, America Online, went down yesterday for 19 hours, taking with it millions of subscribers who were suddenly cut off from their information wonderland.
6 million people were taken offline. An electronic community of 6 million people were blacked out. You couldn't have electronic chat sessions online, and you couldn't get instant news and stock quotes.
60.3%. That was the call failure rate for AOL in 1997. The number was roughly double the next worst offender. In comparison, CompuServe, a much smaller web portal company, had failure rates of just 6.5%. For months after AOL made its big move, trying to get access into the company's network was near impossible. Lines were constantly busy. Due to its popular web portal, AOL's infrastructure was already stressed before the introduction of the unlimited access offering. Once users no longer had to watch how much time they spent on the service, the strain on AOL's infrastructure grew exponentially. Its infrastructure was simply not designed for the extra usage. In January of 1997, a few months after going all in on unlimited access, the company found itself under pressure from many attorney general's offices all over the United States, to a point where they had to promise refunds and limit advertising until they could fix their infrastructure problems. Obvious to anyone who ever used the phone system to dial up into a database service and got a busy signal, the phone system wasn't designed for this. Modems were really slow, their speeds were artificially limited by the quality of the connection on the other side of the line. You could have a 28.8 kilobit modem, but if the best your online provider could do was 9.6 kilobits per second, you were stuck. This is why web pages took forever to load in the late 90s. The infrastructure simply couldn't facilitate the data speeds necessary to make the internet as fast and as addictive as it is today. ISPs tried baking in alternative business models to convince users to use the internet less. But once the cat was out of the bag, it was clear unlimited access was here to stay. But the dream of unlimited access was causing more trouble than profit. In March of 1998, just 2 years after WorldNet launched, AT&T announced that it would start charging users 99 cents an hour each month, essentially reverting back to the old pricing model. The idea of offering users unlimited internet access was not having a big enough impact in the way that they had hoped for. In 1998, AT&T was still some way behind AOL, with its 1 million subscribers, a tenth of what AOL had. The gap between the two was so vast that AT&T decided it would just be easier to buy AOL outright, offering a jaw-dropping acquisition price of $19 billion to buy AOL, which caught the entire industry off guard. But what was even more insane was AOL turning down the offer. AOL, for its part, compared to its fellow web portals, came up with the best possible solution for the myriad of issues unlimited online access caused. Unlike WorldNet, they chose to fully stick to the unlimited online access dream, spending hundreds of millions of dollars upgrading its infrastructure. The company also bought CompuServe in 1997 for $1.2 billion, effectively doubling its dial-up service overnight. These strategic moves made by AOL worked well in the short term, but eventually AOL subscriptions and advertising revenue would eventually dry up as the industry moved past web portals. As the internet progressed, the all-in-one business model of web portals proved to be the wrong one. as users preferred separated experiences that were very good at the one thing they did, compared to web portals which weren't good at any one specific thing. During their heyday, web portals clearly showed that a new technology was necessary to make the dream of unlimited internet access a reality. The continued failings of the dial-up system eventually led to the growth of better technologies. The technological infrastructure advancements that have happened since then have brought us to our modern world with high-speed fiber connectivity and on the cusp of 5G global internet connectivity. These innovations were largely driven by the initial dream of fast and unlimited internet access that was started all the way back in the 1990s as a consequence of the web portal wars. Before the idea of unlimited internet access, the internet was increasingly looking like it was going to go the way of cell phones, where users are charged for every minute of calls and so forth. But that ended up never happening. Instead, a much better path was taken, one where the internet became common, unlimited, and relatively affordable to use, thus addicting us all to it.